Hello everybody, it's week 3, second half of the week, so here we are in unit 3.2 of Fundamentals of Physical Geography. Now I know at this stage some of you have told me that you've struggled a little bit to get started and you've struggled a little bit to keep up with the material over these first couple of weeks. So for the second half of this step 3, I'm just going to try and keep things a little bit concise, keep it nice and straightforward, and give everybody a chance to have caught up by the end of this week before we move on to step 4 in week 4 next week. There are 3 things that I want to do during the latter part of this week. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about the patchwork assessment that you should by now all have started working on. Information about that is in the module handbook. I talked about it in the live session last week, and I've spoken to quite a number of you individually, and there have been a couple of queries on the discussion board on the KLE, thank you very much. I've responded to those, and that's a good place to put any questions that you might have about the patchwork. I'll respond to you on there, and then everybody can see your question, which will be helpful to them, and everybody can also see my answer, which hopefully will be helpful as well. So that's the first thing to think about this week, in the second half of this week, is just making sure that everybody is up to speed and has got started on the patchwork assessment. The second thing that I want to talk about today, or the second thing that I want to talk about for the remainder of this week, is I want to give you some basic information about timescales as a framework within which physical geography operates. It's a really important topic that we'll come back to over and over again as the module progresses, because time is the framework within which we consider physical geography processes, the impact on landforms, the development and evolution of landscapes. So I want to say a little bit about time this week. And thirdly, as part of that in a sense, I want to give you some specific examples of how geomorphologists, people who study landforms and landscape, how they have incorporated time into their thinking. I want to give you a couple of specific examples from classic theory, if you like, from the 20th century in geomorphology, where people came up with some big ideas that we still follow to some extent in present day geomorphology, so they're really important background for you to understand. And I want to say something about a chap called William Morris Davis, who came up with an idea of understanding how landscape changes by looking at stages of landform development. There are good things and there are bad things about the way that he looked at the world, but it's an important thing for you to know a little bit about. Having understood what Davis was on about, I then want to talk to you about two other researchers, Schumann and Liechty, and they wrote a paper talking about time, space and causality in geomorphology, where they talked about time being looked at different scales and us seeing different things when we looked at different scales. And they talk about steady time, graded time and cyclic time. And I'm going to say a little bit to explain what they mean by those ideas and how that helps us to understand how the landscapes around us are changing when we look on a day-to-day scale, on a long time scale recorded in the geomorphological record, or even over geological time scales. How do we notice different things and how do we understand landscape change differently when we see it at these different time scales? So those are the things I'm going to be covering in this session, in this unit 3.2. The resources are all on the KLE. I had a couple of questions from students this week who didn't seem to know how to access those resources. If you haven't accessed the KLE, Kiel's Learning Environment, online, it's really important now that you get help on that and get support to make sure that you can access it. All the resources for this module are available through the KLE, so make sure that you've found those resources, and in particular at this stage, if you haven't done so already, read the module handbook, which includes information about how the module works, what assessments you need to be doing, how those assessments work, for example the patchwork assessment that some of you are beginning to get to grips with but struggling with a little bit, one or two of you, so make sure you have a look at that handbook. If you do have any questions or if anything isn't clear, the first place to go is the discussion board on the KLE, where there's a Q&A. You can put up your questions, everybody can see them, people can get in there straight away and help you, and I will go in there also and I will answer any questions that appear on there. I'll answer probably straight away on the discussion board, but also I'll pick up any questions that emerge there and I'll deal with them in the live session that we have. Don't forget that live session. Make sure that you turn up to that. It's in your schedule, it's in your timetable, and that's another opportunity for you to ask questions for us to have conversations. But it works really well if you put things on the discussion board in advance that I can pick up and I can then bring those along to the live session and help you to understand any issues you're struggling with at that point. Obviously, if you have any individual personal one-to-one problems, if you like, with the material or with the module, then you can still always email me. I'll always be happy to answer questions or try and help with any problems that you've got if you just email me. So meanwhile, check out the KLE. If you haven't seen the handbook and everything, make sure you catch up with that immediately. And also on the KLE, by the time you're seeing this video, the resources will be there for Unit 3.2, the second part of Step 3, where you can pick up on the material that I just said we'll be going through regarding time in physical geography. Okay.